Hello, everyone, and I am Samantha with Talk Travel with Samantha, and we're excited to continue talking about Iceland. So let's get into it because I have so much to say about Iceland that I honestly need all the time. Let's leave out all the fluff, truly. All right, so we left off on the fact that Blue Lagoon, you should do the retreat and stay overnight. So what happened after we did that? We headed on to Helen, which I have to be honest, it's how it's spelled, but that's not how they say it. And I'm not even going to attempt to say it how they say it. But we headed on to there because I had a means to an end. I always wanted to visit the Diamond Beach. I could not wait to see the Diamond Beach. That was like on my Iceland goals. My goals of Iceland was to go to the Blue Lagoon and see the Diamond Beach. So I was beyond excited to see this Diamond Beach. And I was really hoping that it was going to be everything that I ever dreamed it would be. So we'll get to that and we'll tell you if it was everything I ever dreamed it would be. But I will tell you that, well, we're going to leave it at that. So on the way there, we had to make some stops because you can do it in a day, by the way. So there is an excursion where you can go from Reykjavik all the way to Jökulsárlón and do the Diamond Beach. And you can actually take a Zodiac boat up to a glacier over there in Jökulsárlón. So that's one of the things that I was uber excited about. So basically that's what I was trying to get at when I was leaving and making my way across. So we went to Helen and we stayed overnight there in this hotel that was interesting. But I will say to you that it was very, very nice. And the hard part about these hotels is that, you know, they're not like what we're used to. So they're very basic. Think very IKEA, honestly. Like everything's very, you know, clean lines, wood, but clean as can be. So like never once felt like I was like, you know, in Motel 6, please forgive me for saying that. But I never felt like I was like, you know, in some place that was not clean. And it was just a really nice hotel. But when you look at it, it does look like a motel and you're kind of like, what the heck is this place? So we stayed at the Strakta Hotel right in Helen because again, it was the closest, it was the next closest place. And we honestly didn't do much in Helen. So once we left the Blue Lagoon, it was kind of just a means to an end to get us there. One of the things that I really, really, really wanted to do when I was there and we just didn't was do the glass igloos. So they do have glass houses. They're not actually truly glass igloos. They're like glass farm. I don't want to call it a farmhouse because it's a little tiny hut basically, but made out of glass. And your bed is in this glass section of it and you can see out. Now it's perfect for the winter, but in the summer, you're not seeing very much because let's be honest, there's no northern lights. And it's pretty, but it's not the same as like in the winter if it's snowing and there's, you know, the northern lights are out there and there you are laying in the dark in this glass, you know, cabin, so to speak. So I said, let's not do it. They were also uber expensive. They were like $700 a night, which is, you know, a lot of money for a place. And it was kind of off the beaten path. So it wasn't kind of in the way that we were going. So we said, let's just do this hotel. And we all stayed there. We ended up eating across the street at this other place. I will tell you, finding food was definitely interesting there. That was a trip and a half. But we had a great time. We went over to this other place and I can't remember if they tried to call themselves an Italian restaurant. I honestly don't remember. But I will say that Iceland, let me back up and say that Iceland is where I found the gimlet and discovered that I love me some gimlet. So if you like gin, you've never had a gimlet, you've never had it made in Iceland, 1000% try it there because they just nail the gimlet. So I found that drink there and fell in love with it. So we stayed at the Strakta Hotel and then we ended up moving on like literally the next morning. We get up at 9 a.m. and off we went. So we were headed to the Black Sand Beach. And the Black Sand Beach is so cool. I honestly didn't expect to be so mesmerized by it, so amazed by its beauty because I thought, oh, we're at Black Sand Beach. I didn't think I was going to love it. I fell in love with the place. It was just so pretty. Well, this is one of the places that you can get hit by a sneaker wave. So there's huge signs that are out there, and I'll repeat that word again because I know I talk fast. You can get hit or taken or wet by a sneaker wave, like a sneaker. And they call them sneaker waves because you'll be watching the waves and they're just kind of going. And then all of a sudden, this one random one just comes up all the way into the beach and just pulls people in because the current is super, super bad there. So, we're staying away from, because we read the signs and, I think it said yellow, like it was kind of a baddish day. It was like a midday. So we were kind of like, all right, so we'll stay away from the water. Well, we're doing things. I'm doing cartwheels on the sand. We're taking pictures because there's this gorgeous cave in the background. There's gorgeous rock formations just off the beach that are, in the water. They're absolutely beautiful. It reminds me of the Goonies, when they come out after they've saved the boat and they're coming out and there's the rock formations. It reminds me of that. Like, it looks just like that. And the black sand is literally everywhere. Now, there's no sun, mind you, so it's just dark and gray. So one of the cool things that I would honestly suggest for Iceland if you're going there is to get a bright colored jacket. Don't get a black one. Don't get a dark blue one. Don't get a green one. Get a red, yellow, anything that's bright colored, because it really pops in the pictures and it really, really makes the pictures look great. Someone told me that tip right before we went, and I searched and searched for a red jacket, and I was so happy that my mom, because I actually went with my mom and I had some, and the pictures are actually really, really cool because of that. And not to mention, my friends had darker jackets on and they get lost in the pictures. So while we're standing there really enjoying the nature and just enjoying the beach, because we were there a while. I didn't think we were going to be that long at a black sand beach. It's just a beach, mind you. There's nothing else on it. We saw puffins, which was really, really cool. So we did see those up, hanging out on the cliffs of this gorgeous rock cave that was up there. So we did see those. That was the only time we actually saw the puffins. But while we're standing there, I'm making my mom... I made my mom do this jump, and I was like, Ma, come jump with me. And I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and you jump up into the air. Well, my ma's like 5 foot nothing. Okay. And the woman doesn't jump anymore. So just so you know, I'm like, Ma, jump higher. So we're redoing the stupid video like 8 billion times. Okay. As we're redoing the stupid video, and we've got the water kind of behind us, but it's not coming up to us. It's nowhere near us. And I think, honestly, I might have written in the sand my name. So we're far enough away from the water. Well, wouldn't you know, the sneaker wave decides to make its way up to us. So we're sitting there having this discussion, and my friend Kelly is taking this video, and she's taking the video of us, and all of a sudden she goes, "Come now." And I was like, "What?" And it instantly, we just get hit by a wave. I'm screaming. My mother's running, which, by the way, my mother doesn't run. Anthony, Kelly's husband, was even further. He was closer to the water. So he's running. We're howling. We're laughing so hard. And we're soaked. The water's gone into our boots. It probably went up to our knees, honestly. And we were far off the break point of where it was all breaking. And so we laughed so hard because we gave Kelly the hardest time, because I was like, "Girl, you need to be like, come now, not come now." She's like, "I didn't. I told you guys to come." So we actually, strangely enough, I had my metas on. We had it on video, and I was like, "Was this an urgent come now?" It needed to be a bit more urgent. We were dying. So it's one of the things that we just give her the hardest time about, because we're like, "You didn't even warn us." Because she goes, "I did." So to her defense, she did say, "Come now." She just didn't say it with any urgency, and it didn't occur to me that that's what she was trying to get us to do. I don't know what I thought. So anyways, we got hit by a sneaker wave. Thankfully, we were not one of the ones taken out into the ocean. We just got soaked. So we did have a good chuckle about that at the Black Sand Beach. The Black Sand Beach is back now because it did get, unfortunately, eroded. Basically, the water had risen so much that it took over the whole beach, and you could not even get on it. So I have seen the pictures that it is back, which is really, really cool. So make sure that you visit the Black Sand Beach because it was awesome. So from there, we kept on our drive, and the next spot along the way, that's technically along this way, is where Justin Bieber did a music video, and he filmed a music video there, and there's some like plane stuck somewhere, and it's pretty famous and people go to it. I don't know. So the other car that we were with, they decided to go. I asked my car, I was like, "Do you guys care?" I didn't care. So we decided not to go off the beaten path, and we thought, let's go eat lunch. So we end up finding, because I told you before that I absolutely love just randomly finding places, we end up finding this place called Kajar Restaurant in, I won't even begin to tell you. If you want to know where this restaurant is, I'm not even going to try, because it says Kirk. That's where it says that it's in. So know that that doesn't help you at all. But I bet if you looked up this restaurant, there literally was like none in the whole place. But it was called, again, it was spelled Kjarr. And the food was unreal. The cool part about it was they maybe had like 5 or 6 dishes to choose from. And they were actually getting in a tour that was coming in. So a couple of tables were, held for a tour. But the place was darling. And the view was this gorgeous waterfall outside the window, just chilling. So one of the coolest parts about Iceland is on your trip and your trek, 4 to 8 hours to this place, or Jurgosalun, that we were headed to. You get to see all these amazing waterfalls and all of the amazing, landscape. It's unreal. So that's where we had lunch. The food was great. I actually ended up having pasta, which was phenomenal. And I think a couple of people I see some lamb in there because, that's kind of a given. You got to have lamb. So it was really, really, really great. So after that, we kept moving because like I said, we were headed to Jurgosalun. We actually crossed over the Diamond Beach, and we had the booking that night. So one of the reasons why we were trekking that way was because we had a 7:30 excursion or trip up to the glacier there at the Glacier Bay there. And I will tell you that it was unreal. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. Now, let me give you my background so when you understand my unreal, what I've seen. I have been to I have been to Alaska. I have been and seen glaciers, but I've never seen them up close like we did in a Zodiac boat. It was unreal. And as I was mentioning earlier, you can do this trip from Reykjavik in one day. It's a long day. We just chose not to do it that way. We chose to do it on our own. So we not rented. We did an excursion with a company on the Zodiac, and they dressed us up in these outfits. I want to say that they're waterproof outfits. I mean, we were pretty waterproofed. Basically, I think it was if we fell in or the boat overtook us, we weren't going to die of hypothermia, because that's what I think we were wearing. We did not wear life jackets. Thank goodness. We mostly wore these outfits that were keeping us warm because it was cold. And we load into the Zodiac boat, and there was a bunch of us. We pretty much took over the boat. There was maybe 4 other people on this boat with us, and they took us straight out to the glacier. And as we went out there, of course, they stopped and talked about the icebergs that were kind of floating along, because there was so many of them. I think it's called Glacier Lagoon, actually, not Glacier Bay. So you sit on the outside of the Zodiac boat, right? You're sitting on the edge of it, holding on for dear life with the ropes and hoping to God you don't fall in, but you're now protected by all of the equipment that you're wearing, all of the weatherproof clothing, and they zoom you out to this glacier. And the glacier is like billions of years old. This thing is like, massively old. It's ridiculous. And so they zoom you out there, but it's so cold as you're going out because the air is just so cold against your face. I was like, that's so cold. So I'm kind of thankful that they dressed us up in these outfits to stay warm. I should have worn a whole face mask. Oh, I was dying. My eyes were watering. It was so cold. So we get out there, and they literally sit the Zodiac in front of this glacier, and you wait for it to calve, and you wait for it to come off, to drop ice, and it just does. And it's so loud. The sound is so loud. But while you're there, you see seals, and they're hanging out and playing. And it was so cool to be in that Glacier Lagoon. Like, it was just neat. And for them to tell us the story and the history and how far the glacier used to be, and how much it's retreating, which is really sad. And, how big the icebergs are, the floating ice that is going by you, and that you only see 10% of the ice on top. Meanwhile, it's this massive thing that you could put like a house on. You're like, what the heck is underneath there? So imagine if that piece broke off. And he mentioned to us that the pieces that were that big usually come from underneath. So I thought that was interesting, because I was like, oh my gosh. So that's one of the reasons why I think they dress you up like that, is in case something were to happen and, you end up on top of the glacier. that your boat falls in the thing. I mean, you know me, my brain goes crazy. Anyways, so we did that. Well, at the end of this Glacier Lagoon, and we also picked up ice because I asked him, I was like, can we please pick up some ice? I want to touch billions of years old ice. So we did, and that was the coolest thing. It was really, really neat. We did that. It was unbelievable. Well, we had one of the prettiest days. The sun was out. It was absolutely gorgeous. It was just unbelievable. So we stayed at a hotel that was not too far away from there. That hotel was just gorgeous. It was not cheap, gotta be honest. We stayed at Hotel Jørgensen. It was just gorgeous. I mean, they just did a phenomenal job. I ended up in a family suite because it's just the way it worked out. And it was just the hotel was, it was top notch. That one was the best one that we stayed in. And I highly suggest that to anybody. Don't miss it because it's just gorgeous. The food was also phenomenal there. The accommodations were just great. They had a sauna. They had a hot tub outside, so you can go hang out in the hot tub outside. It was just beautiful. So after we finished the Zodiac, like I said, we headed back to the hotel, but we did stop at Diamond Beach. I was very disappointed with Diamond Beach. I was like, what the heck happened here? It's like little pebbles of diamonds. Like, I was super, super duper disappointed because it was not what I had seen, you know, on Instagram. Because remember what I said, that Instagram's not always what you see. So I was beyond disappointed. And I was like, this cannot be it. I must see a better version of this. So I had made my car, because again, like I told you, we had 2 cars. I made my car. I said to them, once we leave, we're stopping back at Diamond Beach because I need to see if it's different in the morning. And so they all were fine with that. They said, okay, that's fine. We'll go back and we'll see it again. I said, thank you. As we were rolling up, I could tell 1000% it was completely different. It was a whole different beach and it was everything I ever dreamed it would be. So go in the morning to Diamond Beach because it was like nothing I've ever experienced before. I wanted to stay in there all day because it was just so cool. It was cold too because of all the diamonds, the icebergs that had floated up. So if you don't know what Diamond Beach is, I should probably explain that. It's all of the icebergs that are coming out of Glacier Lagoon and coming and sitting at the beach, and they get, washed up ashore, and then they of course end up melting. But they're just, oh gosh, they were phenomenal. So that day we were just taking we weren't stopping at Helen on the way back. We were taking the whole way. We're going from Jørgensen all the way to Reykjavik to spend the night. And then we were leaving the next day. So we went the whole way, and it's a 4-hour drive. So it's doable. It's not far. So it's definitely doable in the day. Like I said, if you wanted to go from Reykjavik and not spend any nights anywhere else, it's just a long day. But the good news is the sun doesn't go down. So you could do it all in one day if you wanted to. So that's definitely an option. However, I wouldn't suggest it because we really just enjoyed kind of, taking our time. So on the way back, we stopped at this really cute cafe to get some gas, and they were just so sweet. And we got some breakfast and some coffee and whatnot and some amazing hot chocolate. I'm going to be honest. Then we stopped at the famous pizza place in Vic. There's a famous pizza place, Black Crust Pizza. And it was really, really good. The place was jammed though, I will tell you. And it's funny, we actually saw some people from the ship. So I think that's even funnier. And then we went to Reykjavik. So now we finally actually got to enjoy Reykjavik. And we stayed at the Radisson there, the Radisson Blue, right in downtown Reykjavik. And I will tell you, it was amazing. The location was phenomenal. Everything was in walking distance. It was just a great trip. I will also say that we visited a specific museum that I probably can't say on the radio. So know that there is an interesting museum there that is super duper fun to go to. Not sure that I ever need to visit it again, but definitely look it up. You'll probably know exactly what it is when you type in interesting museum in Reykjavik. You'll know what I'm talking about. So that was fun. And then we had some amazing drinks at Feeling Tipsy was the name of the bar, and they were really, really cool there. So, and then we ended up eating in Reykjavik at Caruso was the name of the restaurant in downtown Reykjavik. But I will tell you that everyone said to go to Hresso. I'm probably saying that wrong, but it's Hresso because they had original Icelandic food, but we couldn't get in because it was uber busy. So I highly suggest those places. It was phenomenal. And I ended up actually walking around by myself in the morning because I like to walk in the morning. I like to walk in the morning and in the evenings. And I walked around by myself in the morning and had no issues. Super safe, felt comfortable, walked the Rainbow Street, which is super fun, enjoyed that, and saw all the sights. And then we flew home that day. So that was our whole trip. Our whole land portion of Iceland. So we actually stopped in Iceland up top, up in the north. We were up there, as I mentioned. We stopped at Akureyri and Ísafjörður, as well as Reykjavik. So those were our stops up there, up in the north. And we did so much, like had the best time. So I highly suggest doing the whole Iceland like we did. It was nice to do the cruise for part of it and then do the land portion. I would thoroughly suggest that. And we did some really, really cool things up in the north. We saw like some of the most amazing waterfalls that you can possibly ever see. And it's such a cool thing. And all the sheep. We went to a sheep farm. So much fun. We also whitewater rafted. Oh my gosh, I've never laughed so hard in my life. We had the best time. There was a few casualties in the whitewater rafting, but nobody went overboard, so that's always good. And we just had a really good time. We also had someone try fermented shark. I don't know that I suggest the fermented shark because we could smell it from miles away. It was disgusting. Never in a million years would I ever suggest fermented shark. And there was a lot of gagging that was going on, but gosh, I would tell you that Iceland was probably one of my best trips. And one of the things that I realized when I was in Iceland that I want to point out is that how small we are as humans, like the bigger picture that's out there. The pinch me moment was sitting in front of that glacier on a Zodiac, waiting for it to break off and hear that sound and watch it go into the ocean, and just how quiet it was around you and how beautiful the ice sparkled in the sunlight and how no one said a word because everyone was just mesmerized by this glacier that was about to break off. I mean, that was probably one of my most pinch me moments that I was like, how did I get here? And how cool is this? It was amazing. So I highly suggest Iceland. Don't miss it. Don't miss Glacier Lagoon. Don't miss Diamond Beach because it was really cool. It was very diamondy. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please contact Fabulous Adventures Travel. Please contact me, Samantha, your host of Talk Travel with Samantha, so we can get you to Iceland because it's just an amazing trip. You should go. Everyone should go. Honestly, no one should miss it. So with that being said, today's travel lesson is some destinations impress you, others change how you see the world. Iceland does both. Thank you so much for joining me on Talk Travel with Samantha. Please find me on Facebook at Samantha-Fabulous Adventures Travel. You can also contact me at www.talktravelwithsamantha.com and let us know what you liked, loved, hated, all the things. And I look forward to next week. Until next time, travel smarter, vacation harder. I'm Samantha, and we'll see you next time.